took a little break. Justin was nice enough to make me some hot dogs, or Justine actually made me some hot dogs.
Yeah.
And brought beer and brought some marijuana. So we're going to be sparking a bit during this hour. Well, you're already feeling good.
Yeah,
So you got the vape.
I'm feeling pretty good, and thank you for having me.
Oh, of course. We're actually at his place, his establishment. His little studio room where we've rehearsed here a couple times. When we did a photo shoot here in yours truly. Back in the day. Yeah, here, let me flip. Or do you want to? How about you do the honors?
I would love to do the honor.
Flip the hourglass. Doing one more hour, and there it goes. Bam. Cool. All right, so much to talk about. I want to go back, kind of finish the story that you were on about. Oh, actually, do you have a lighter? I can start smoking.
Yes.
All right, so there are a few things I want to get to. I'm going to say this out loud so that I'll remember it after I get stoned. Just basically your history.
Right.
And then kind of up to yours truly, how that all started. As I've heard stories from Madeline, but I'd like to hear your perspective.
Well.
And then, so we'll work up to that. And then where you're at now, cancer. You have freaking cancer scare, man.
Yeah.
And your battle with that, and then just kind of what your future holds. So let's start with, you said, that's another story. You were talking about some band.
Oh.
When you're, do you remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the Rutledge Band.
The Rutledge Band. What was that? That was a band you were in.
Well, that was the band that actually kind of educated me on the business of music and showed me a more professional and a more pragmatic way of doing this overnight success story crap.
Yeah.
You know? So I was in a band prior to that, a progressive rock band.
Uh-huh.
I went from punk to progressive rock. I mean, I could always play, but I prefer to play music that's primal.
Yeah, I hear
you. Know, and
that makes so much sense because you're, technically speaking, such an awesome guitarist. Yet, you could just play those punk rock songs
and just have fun.
And then when you need to solo or do whatever,
yeah,
because in yours truly, you have like a solo that's like one bar. You know, you do like a little solo and then back into the song.
Oh, right,
you know?
right.
Yeah. It's just like, oh, perfect. You blast that out and then back to the rest of the song.
Yeah, that's a Malfoy.
Yeah, Malfoy. That's right.
So, but yeah. So I was in a progressive rock band, and we were pretty good. We were called Genghis Monk, and I'm actually trying to get that project back together before everybody dies.
With the same, obviously with the same people, yeah.
So, but anyway, I was playing with them when I got a call, for an audition for this band that's going to do great things, and that a couple of record labels were looking at them, but they just needed to put a band together to do the showcases and stuff. So, I called the guy up, and this is funny. So I'm talking to the guy, and he says, "Are you black?" I go,
Why?
"Yeah."
Why? I haven't.
Yeah. Yes. Is that a problem? And he goes, "Well, no. You just sound black."
Okay.
You know. I said, "Well, I am." You know. And he said, "Well, no, just come on up." So I know immediately he had this whole thought of me.
All right, come on up, or was it?
It was that type.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it was definitely like, well, shit, fuck, man, I'm on a spot. Go ahead, come up. What can I lose? Just gonna be like 15 minutes out of my life.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So anyway, he said the ad also wanted a bass player. So I asked my friend who was the bass player in Genghis Monk if he wanted to go.
Yeah.
So he said yes. So we roll up there. It was up in Woodland Hills. So we roll up, and there's like 5 or 6 guitar players, and they're all cool looking. You know, the feathered hair and the fancy ruffled front shirt, and you know, the flowing cotton shirt with the, you know,
the pirate shirts
with the pants and the riding boots and stuff. You know, and I think I had on like some Converse and my Levi's and a T-shirt.
Yeah. Right.
I was still a punk at heart.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So and the bass player wore like this leather jacket with this nerd shirt underneath. I guess he was a nerd because he had all these pens and shit in his shirt pocket, you know.
Yeah.
And some khakis and stuff, you know, work boots or something. So we go in to do the audition. You know, we had to wait like about almost an hour because there was like 5 guys ahead of us, you know. So we go in, and the guy behind the keyboard is black with this long, straight hair, you know.
Yeah.
And he's behind the keyboards, and we go in, and we sit up and we play. And then I get a call, and the guy goes, "Hey, man, like for you to come up. We'd like for you to come up, you know, for a callback, and we're just gonna see how it goes, you know, because if you do what you did the last time, you win." So I'm thinking, I'm not sure what kind of musicians this guy is used to working with. Where one day they play at a certain level, and then the next day they don't.
Yeah.
You know. How is that possible?
Yeah.
Well, I guess you know, mental breakdown. You know, you know, maybe some bad
like
drugs.
That? Yeah. Okay.
You know, make you lose your shit. You know, but anyway, I go.
Should be get better and better every time.
Yeah. So basically, I go. Well, I will do my damnedest.
Yeah.
You know, so I go back and we do this jam and stuff. And so after we finished playing, they didn't want my friend.
Oh, nice.
So I had to go up by myself,
Yeah.
you know. So I go up and I play with these guys.
Wait, they didn't want your friend?
No, they didn't.
Oh, I thought you said they did. Okay. Oh, so it's just
no,
you.
it was just me.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay.
And I was playing with what was going to be the band. And so on bass is this really cool looking white guy with this curly afro.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was an afro, man.
Yeah.
And he wore glasses. His name was Bob Davis.
Okay.
He was the one of the original members of the Dickies.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, but he was the bass player in this band.
Yeah.
So we started playing, and he reminded me of Chris Squire because he played a Rickenbacker.
Yeah.
And he kind of had that approach to it, like Chris Squire, very aggressive.
Yeah.
You know, very, you know, digging in kind of. And we went on and we played some pretty impressive shows.
Yeah.
We got some really good write-ups by all the local papers. We were meeting all the right people. I was hanging out. Well, prior to the Rutledge Band, I had been hanging out with soon-to-be noted names, you know, in the business. But being in the Rutledge Band got me in the same circuit with them, where I would go to places where they would be.
Okay.
You know, so it was that shift, you know, that paradigm shift for me in my life.
Yeah.
You know, to go from, I would just say, ghetto dwelling to, you know, hanging out with.
Oh yeah. So how old are you here?
I'm thinking I'm probably about 21,
Okay.
22
Cool.
maybe.
Yeah.
You
So
know.
all your teen life, you're like, this is the life.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until 21. Okay, interesting. So, okay, so your 20s were spent in this world then.
Yeah.
Cool.
So so then, you know, after playing in that band for about, I guess, 3 years. In fact, I have that band's recordings. I have the recordings
Yeah.
from probably 1980.
Right here?
That-
is
that-
that it on this?
That's one of them. That's one of the real.
Four track?
We have hundreds of songs.
Oh, nice.
I got those in the vault in the house.
Nice. You gotta
He-
put them on YouTube or something.
yeah, I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Well, what I have to do is go and get them transferred
Right.
to a disc or to a flash drive.
Get
you
it
know.
on a flash drive, get it clean. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we did a series of recordings, and we had a pretty good management company at the time, Grillo and Grillo or some shit like that,
Yeah.
and they were getting us opening slots with people like Rolls Royce, which was the car wash band. They had that song
Wash.
"Car Wash,"
Oh, them. Okay.
working at the
Yeah.
car
What were they
wash.
called?
Rolls Royce.
Oh, okay.
That's the name of the band.
That's funny.
And we got to play with
realized
not the main ingredient. What were they called?
Wait, they named the band Rolls Royce after a car, and then they wrote a song about the car wash.
Yeah.
Does no one talk about that? How come I never heard? I know that song, but
Well, you can bring it up now and be the first. You know.
that's so odd. All right. Anyways, all right. So go on. So
So
you're opening for these bands.
we're open for these bands, and we got a chance to hang out with like Natalie Cole, and she's
Natalie Cole.
the daughter of Nat King Cole. She had
Okay.
I think she died a few years ago.
Okay.
And Shaka Khan, and I mean, I had my close encounter with at this particular point in my life with the Jimi Hendrix experience. The people who played with them,
Yeah.
I got a chance to jam with them.
What?
I got a chance to play with Noel Redding and Mitch Mitchell
What?
together
Together?
on stage
What?
with me.
No way. Playing Hendrix songs?
No.
Oh, just play. Oh, I was like, whoa, what? Okay, what were you playing?
I would never do that.
Yeah, no, I know. I was like, wait, hold on.
Now, we were doing like traditional blues songs, like
Awesome.
Stormy Monday.
Yeah.
I think we did.
You got to play with these guys?
Yeah, see, what was happening at that time, the scene was so vibrant.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the celebrities hung out in these secret locations
Yeah.
and stuff, They would be hanging out in these hot spots.
Yeah.
And at the time, this place called the Central, which is now the Viper Room,
Yeah.
but when it was the Central, was a magnet for the people who lived up in Laurel Canyon,
Oh, okay.
and
That's where they all just happen to hang out.
Mulholland Drive and all
Right,
that
right.
stuff. This would be a spot in Hollywood. They could come down and hang out and jam.
Yeah.
So
What was that like for you? If we can take a little detour. What was the strip like back in those days?
I had just missed it.
Oh, really?
I missed the whole 60s.
Yeah, but you
and
still
stuff.
got to jam. That's what I'm saying.
I came along in the 70s.
Yeah, but it was
Yeah.
still. It's not what it is today at all.
Well, no, but
But that's what you're saying. So like, people hung out. They just hung out at the hot spot.
yeah, they hung out at the hot spots,
Yeah.
and every now and then they'll go to these mid-level clubs,
Mm-hmm.
And I played a lot of the low-level clubs and mid-level clubs.
Mm-hmm.
And I think toward the end of my first phase
Mm-hmm.
of playing, I had started playing the high-level clubs.
Okay.
Places that would be considered great spots, like Club Lingerie at one time was one of those hot spots.
Where's that at? Where
That
is it
used to
now?
be on Sunset near Wilcox,
Okay.
and then another place that would have been considered a really would have been Raji's.
Oh, Raji's, right? That sounds familiar. Where was that?
That was on Hollywood Boulevard,
Okay.
near Cahuenga.
Yeah. Okay.
Was it Cahuenga?
Isn't there a place called Raji's there?
No, there's another place that has that name, but I don't know
Okay.
if it's the same people.
Yeah. They probably named it after. Who knows?
Who knows? But anyway, but that was what was going on at that time, but then, in the 80s, after a complete die out, Hollywood just die.
What killed it? Was it the recession?
I think the record companies did. They snatched up all the good bands
Oh.
and forced other bands that were developing into a do or die situation. Because all the bands could think about at that time was getting signed to a major label.
Yeah.
You know, I was under that same illusion at the time as well.
Yeah.
But that's what it all became, and so bands started emulating bands before them that got signed, and then it's just this whole how should I say bad clones of what was once a pretty good idea, you know. So people stopped coming. There was a bunch of uncertainty then because Reagan had gotten shot like in '81,
Yeah. Okay.
you know, and then AIDS broke out,
Oh.
you know, around '82.
Yeah.
So for about 4 or 5 years, Hollywood was dead.
Yeah.
I lived there during the dead times.
Did you perform there?
Well,
Was it like a ghost town though?
it was a ghost town. You played other places,
Oh, okay.
you know.
So you didn't play over there.
You know, all the clubs that were vibrant in the 70s,
Yeah.
except for the Whiskey, the
The
Roxy,
Roxy, yeah. Those are the high end.
Raji's.
Raji's was a.
Yeah, it hung in there. And then the rest of the places were out there, you know, the beach areas, you know, downtown, the valley.
What was in downtown?
Oh, you have places like, I forget what they call these clubs. But it's where, like, one was in a hotel, which is where the Down and Out is now.
Ah. Yeah, they completely changed that club. It's not even a rock and roll place anymore.
It's been through a lot of changes.
It's all sports and DJ stuff.
But it was that spot was a place to play. And then there was the Redwood.
Yeah. How old is the Redwood?
Redwood's been around a while.
Since the 80s?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, shit.
And then there was another spot over on another street, the 5 Star.
Yeah.
You know.
I didn't know that one was.
And then, and to a certain degree, you know, the Lexington. The Lexington is more of a 90s
Oh, really?
occurrence, you know.
Yeah.
But, and the Vex.
The Vex.
Yeah, VEX.
Never been
Yeah,
there.
it was a spot to play. And
you're
the
playing in all
American
these
Legion.
different bands. Oh, American Legion. Yeah, I heard
Yeah.
that. Which we played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these were the places that you could play. But when Hollywood was dead, I kind of went through a writing thing
Oh,
where I was
cool.
doing more writing
Yeah.
than playing out live,
Yeah.
you know. And then I think about (1985), I reemerged, you know. And, you know, it was, Hollywood was still dead, but you could tell something was going on, you know. And I was hanging out at a place called Basie's Hall. This was another place where
Basie's with a B?
Yeah, with a B. It was over on like Vermont,
Okay.
near Hollywood Boulevard or something like this.
Oh, down there.
Yeah. And they were talking about this place in downtown L.A. Called Madame Wong's that had kind of been around,
I've heard of Madame Wong's, yeah.
you know, since the 70s.
Yeah.
You know. So I'm thinking, I'm not quite sure what year this was that I heard this. But anyway, those were the kind of places that were starting to come alive to revitalize the scene.
Cool.
You
So it
know.
was like 86?
Well, let's see.
87?
Madame Wong's had basically started in the 70s. I didn't get a
No,
chance.
but when this was
Oh,
all
when I was
emerging.
when I
Yeah,
reemerged.
yeah.
She had Ella Walter been around a while because I
Right,
played
right.
there when I was in the band The Pilgrims.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in the prior decade.
Right. Yeah.
You know, on that scene. You know,
Yeah.
so on this new scene, you had the emergence of bands like Motorcycle Boy and Red Cross
Oh, yeah.
and some of what would become the grunge and alternative music scene. Because while Hollywood was dead, the whole new wave thing kind of made its foray.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, so it's the early form of techno.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, I think Depeche Mode came up out of that era as well.
Yeah.
You know, but then you also had bands like the Smiths and REM
Yeah.
that was making some noise, and less active, making noise at that time as well. But anyway, getting back to when I reemerged.
No, it's all interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, when I reemerged, was probably around '85.
Yeah.
Because I had a false start in '84. You know.
You were like dipping your toes in the water, or weren't too ready just yet.
Yeah, I mean, so I did a couple of recordings then, but anyway, I started moonlighting, playing reggae in this reggae band at that time.
Okay.
Of my reemergence. And the name of my band at that time of the reemergence was called Sexual Traffic.
Nice.
And we thought we would try something that might have an international appeal as opposed to an American appeal. And because I forget what the guy said that phrase actually means in German.
It means what?
Well, it sounds like sexual traffic, but it's either where was he from? Maybe he was Danish. So whatever their language is, that has a different meaning than what the as he would say, the filthy-minded Americans would make of it. So, but anyway, so I'm playing in these two bands at that time, where I would go play with the reggae band to like 200-300 people, dancing crazy, to playing in my at the time rock band, because I had kind of moved out of the whole punk thing and was doing more of an Americana thing.
Oh, Americana, rock and roll, yeah.
Yeah. And play to like 30 people.
Yeah.
So it was an awakening. Things had changed in I guess like 5 years.
Yeah.
And then I think around '86 shit really started to change when you had bands like London and LA Guns and Warrant and Black Sheep and Wasp, and you had these bands coming on doing like the punks that did a decade earlier, passing flyers out, showing up in all their regalia to other bands' shows, and passing out flyers and doing the whole whatever, and it really brought Hollywood back to life. I mean, I watched it go from walking down Hollywood Boulevard with tumbleweeds blowing by to people shopping down the street from where I live. Say, what? That was an eye opener in a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
It went from ghost town to shops opening up. I'm telling you, around 83, 84,
Yeah.
there was all these storm-shuttered businesses
Yeah, yeah,
along Hollywood Boulevard.
yeah.
Very few places. The
Started
White
opening
Castle, or whatever that place was. You know,
No
near
idea.
the Chinese theater.
Oh, okay.
It was open. You had what's the little bar that's there? The something room.
They should open that place, the something room.
Yeah, that would be a great spot. I like the name of it too.
Something room. Yeah.
It's right there on Hollywood Boulevard. Right next door to the Pantages Theater.
Oh. Oh, wait. Was this place also in New York? Was it one of those kind of places?
Yes, it has a definite New York vibe.
The Knitting Factory?
No. That's
That was later.
and that's closer to the west side.
Okay.
This is right in Hollywood.
Right next to Pantages?
Right there at Hollywood Boulevard near Vine.
What was that place?
The something room. Oh man, I almost had it.
Okay, but yeah.
Anyway, it's all the famous people have gone to this spot.
Yeah.
You know, it's. You can imagine that probably back in the 30s,
Oh, it was like that.
it was a hip little
Yeah. That place.
private spot for the
Oh, it's
celebrities
that
to hang out
old.
because it's so small.
Uh-huh.
It was never intended for a lot of people
Right.
to be there, but they used to squeeze in as many people as they could into that little tiny room.
Damn.
That's why most started going to the Formosa Cafe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because that's where the next generation was hanging out. You could catch Bono there, and
Oh, really?
you could catch Darby Crash and all these different people
Yeah.
hanging out at that spot.
Yeah,
You know, Elton John. You know,
Elton John
yeah,
in L.A.
yeah.
That's awesome.
The Formosa room was the
Yeah,
spot,
that was
dude.
his. Yeah, that's where he would.
It
perform.
may not be today, but
No, yeah,
back then it was.
that's awesome.
And Lucy's El Adobe,
Haven't heard of it.
yeah, it's gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it had a good 20-year run, I think.
Oh wow.
You know. But anyway, so my reemergence was disheartening to say,
Yeah.
and because I didn't learn the lesson from the punks about passing out flyers.
Oh.
I built up my following the hard way.
Yeah.
You know, word of mouth.
Yeah. Word of mouth. Hey, you gotta check
You know.
out this band.
I try to imagine sometimes what my life had been if I had been a complete punk
Yeah.
and went that route.
Yeah.
You know,
What do you think it was that you didn't stay as a punk?
well, you know, I was punk in attitude,
Yeah. Sure.
and I was punk in how I delivered my music at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't punk in the absolute term of behavior.
Yeah.
You know, I was a pot smoking punk.
Yeah.
Not in those days. That was a beer drinking thing.
Oh, really?
That was a
That is
whiskey,
today. Yeah, there are punks that just smoke weed.
whiskey drinking
They
thing.
also drink. Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you why. Back in those days, smoking pot was like being a hippie,
Right.
and punk is not about hippie.
Yeah.
You know. So I was a pot smoking hippie.
Yeah.
I mean, pot smoking punk.
Punk, right?
You know, and then I wasn't into all that their ethics. You know, of walking away from not so much society, but just from the parts you don't like.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I would like to check out of getting sick. Is there some way I can find somewhere to go where I can avoid that? And then the whole dying thing, I would like to sidestep that. Where do you go for that? You know?
Yeah.
So certain things I feel are kind of necessary for the human experience.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, it's each of our choice.
Right.
But I know the people who are miserable are mostly the ones who feel cheated,
Yeah.
or felt that they gave up something to do something that wasn't as rewarding,
Yeah. Yeah.
or these are people who are bitter because it seemed to have missed them. There's a lot of people who are unhappy because of these particular occurrences in their lives.
Yeah.
So I was never that type of person, so I was never a complete punk.
Well, there you go. So, all right. So you're like in this new scene. This is the 85, 86. Where are you in the...
Well, I'm living in Hollywood.
You're living in Hollywood, okay. Oh, you're living in Hollywood.
Yes.
Roommates and stuff, or your own place?
Just me and my girl.
You and your girl, cool.
And we lived at a place called the Havenhurst, which is right on the corner of Franklin and Whitley.
Okay.
And I've met so many people there in that building.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, it exposed me to Poison.
Yeah.
It exposed me to Sheila Kennedy, who was
exposed you to Poison.
Yeah, it exposed me to Poison in a very close manner. They might want to forget me, but it brought me into proximity with Sheila Kennedy, who was what was that dude's magazine? She was a centerfold for not Playboy, but for the other one.
Penthouse?
Penthouse.
She was I don't know. I just know some of the Playboy.
And what would be the other one besides Penthouse and Playboy?
What was the other one? Oh, Hustler?
That's what she was in. No, wait a minute. That was by the guy in the gold wheelchair.
Yeah, gold wheelchair, right? Yeah.
Okay, it was Hustler then.
Hustler magazine.
Okay, and she was one of the centerfolds in it, and it brought me into proximity with Red Cross, a group called I Love You, which you guys should go and look up their records. They were really great. They never got the proper shot.
They're called I Love You?
Yeah, they're called I Love You on Geffen Records.
What do they sound like?
Like the Doors meet... Well, they were kind of like the Doors meet... They were almost Black Crowish,
Oh, okay.
With the whole Doors thing.
Yeah, but with Doors kind of thrown in, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
I'll check them out.
Yeah, check those guys out. So it brought me into proximity with these people, who would later be, out there on the scene, and then, inadvertently, through them meeting, other people. So it was more of a networking period of time as opposed to a growth in my career, because I wasn't really playing as much at this time as I did, in the 70s and the early part of the 80s. And but that will come in the next decade, so because in the 90s, I kind of decided to utilize the whole punk mentality about the whole passing out flyers.
Yeah.
It worked.
Wow, really?
It worked. I know it's a shitty job, but it worked.
Wow.
So that's all I can say. I went from having just 20 people to 80.
Just showing up. How many did you have to pass out?
Probably about 4,000.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a numbers game.
Yeah.
If you pass out 100 flyers, why did you even bother?
Yeah.
Eat those things. That's how, that's how it'll do you better that way.
No, totally. It's a numbers game.
I learned that from Poison.
Really?
Yeah. They taught me how they built up their following.
They were just spreading their poison out.
Yeah. Because I'm sorry, Brett. I'm really sorry. I'm sorry, Bobby. Really, I am. And Ricky.
What happened?
And Cece.
Did something happen?
No, I just need to say they weren't that good.
Oh. But they built a following.
But they built a following that was just unfucking real.
Yeah.
I watched it. I was at ground zero, motherfuckers.
With those guys?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I'm at ground motherfucking zero. You know?
Yeah.
Y'all could talk about, oh yeah, I know Poison, blah blah. Well, and some of y'all say, I know Poison before they were. I was there at ground fucking zero.
Yeah.
Before y'all showed up. You know, but anyway, but I learned
Who
from
had the time to go and do flyers? I guess you can go on a Saturday, Sunday.
well, you know, you have to make it a priority.
Yeah, well, yeah.
If you want to get paid,
Yeah,
you want to have somebody there,
you gotta.
and you don't have the money to pay a promoter that can do that kind of legwork,
Yeah,
then you got to do it yourself. You know, word of mouth is great, you know, but that's not going to guarantee shit.
right.
You know, you could be as awesome as you want to be, but some band that's 100 times shittier than you are are going to be on television
Yeah.
and making these millions of dollars tours because they went and did the work that you wouldn't do because you were practicing your guitar. You know?
Yeah.
So,
Preach, man, preach. You are a preacher.
oh, no. That was my dad.
No, I know. I'm saying you're preaching now. You know.
But, you know,
But you got the energy in you.
Yeah.
You know, you got the spirit.
I saw it then.
Yeah.
I watched it happen. You know? I had other people see what was happening.
Yeah.
Then I redid it, and since I've known you, you were around when we were doing the Best Music You've Never Heard series.
Yes.
Okay. Now I don't know if you came to every Monday, but every Monday, because we were out promoting in the colleges and around the area, every Monday the crowds got bigger and bigger.
Oh yeah.
Till finally at the end of the month, there was about 90 people that nobody knew
Nice.
at the club,
Yeah.
besides the band and the people that they invited, and some of the people that walked in off the street.
Damn.
It was a great night.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I proved my point in the 21st motherfucking century. Now just think,
Yeah.
if you have
Hey, we played on that. Sister Black Soul played on that. Once.
Yeah.
Yeah, on Monday night.
So I'm just saying, and that's right, you played second week.
We played second week, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if you came to the first week.
I think we came. Did Cinex play?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
I think that's where we met them.
Yeah.
This is at the Old Town, Pasadena.
yeah, that was the third one that Cenex played.
Oh, shit. Yeah, yeah. So I was there, another week.
Yeah, you weren't at the first one because
No,
it
yeah.
was dismal. It was like, oh shit, I'm gonna look like I don't know what I'm talking about. We done went out and passed out all
Yes.
these thousands of flyers,
Flyers, yeah.
and there's nobody here. But it rained that night. Thank you.
Yeah.
It rained that night. But I was still scared because I thought at least 10 people would show up.
Yeah.
I mean, when I say nobody showed up, people showed up who were invited.
Right.
But
No,
I'm
I
talking
know
about
what you mean.
people
No,
who
people
came
outside.
from that nobody knew.
No, I know. Yeah, yeah.
I don't count the people that the band know.
Right.
No, we start counting when the people who are coming to see you because
Because they have a flyer.
or they heard about you.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about. You know. So but the second week when you guys played, there was a few people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think there was about 15 people that nobody knew about, plus the bands.
Yeah.
So it was about 30 people, you know.
Damn. People were showing up. Where would you go to drop off all these flyers? Would you go to the beach and just walk along the parking
No.
places?
I'm looking at how Poison did what they did. If they played in Hollywood, they would promote in Hollywood. You know, they wouldn't be going.
They just walk around Hollywood and just like pass out flyers.
Well, yeah, they would.
Walking by.
Well, at the time, Hollywood was a hot spot,
Hotspot, yeah.
so it would always be people to pass out flyers to.
Okay.
Always hundreds of people.
Yeah.
You know, because it was that type of scene
Yeah.
where people were just walking from club to club, or making their way to the club, going to get food.
Yeah.
You know, after they saw their band or before they go see their band. at this particular junction, it was, we would go to the colleges around the club, around the Old Town Pub, and we would pass out flyers at lunchtime at the colleges, and then we would wait and try to catch the students coming back from lunch. So we would pass it out to them.
Okay.
And there's Caltech,
Yeah.
there's Pasadena,
Yeah.
there's Occidental. Occidental.
Yeah, sure.
And then there's Glendale.
Yeah.
So we would hit those colleges like several times a week.
Yeah.
And then we would go to like little farmers markets that would pop up. And, like one in South Pass happens on Thursday, and one in Pasadena happens on Saturday. So we would go and pass out flyers there.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So it was building up. And I once again, to the people who helped me, they saw it.
Yeah.
It was no longer crazy Justin talk.
There's Justin talking about this crazy idea of passing out flyers to people.
Yeah. Wow. If it's meant for you to be successful, you don't need to pass out flyers. It's just going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Fate is not predetermined.
Yeah.
You make it.
You make your own fate.
This is not there might be a universe where things are kind of fixed.
Yeah. What's our universe and our imagination?
Imagine Alexander.
Imagination world.
Yeah, imagine Alexander saying, "Oh, I'm going to be a great conqueror, so I don't need to do shit."
Yeah. Like that's the mentality of a lot of people.
So I'm just, hang on, y'all. I'm 12 years old. Wait. I'm 12 years old, Alexander, born of a god. I'm a demigod, and I am destined to be the great conqueror of nations because I am a genius, and I can do anything I want. So I'm going to sit on my ass and have a nice, beautiful boy suck my cock. So what if he didn't do anything? He didn't learn strategy.
No, true. Yeah.
He didn't learn logic. What if he did not do any of that? Would he still be the Alexander the Great that we read about?
Right.
From history?
That's a great point. All right, so we have a little bit of time. Let's get to what were you doing in the 90s?
Well, 90s was another reemergence, so
damn.
to speak. And the scene had changed yet again.
Was it all grunge?
Well, grunge had been around even in the 80s.
Right, but that was Seattle.
Yeah, but it was here in LA as
here
well.
in LA too? Okay.
It was an underground thing. Red Cross was part of that.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And we had groups that were from like the early 80s who were still around, like Fishbone.
Yeah.
That was, playing these underground spots.
So what band are you in?
Well, at this point, I was just doing a lot of playing. I don't think I'd actually put...
It wasn't like your own thing? It was like with other
Yeah,
bands?
I don't think I actually put a band together until I did Tongue Dance.
Tongue Dance, I like that name.
Yeah. So I think I did a lot of different phases of what would become Tongue Dance.
Okay.
Because me and Justine played with... this is when, around the time that I met her, in, around the 90s.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
And was, hanging out with her. I had met her prior in the 80s, but this is when it all kind of got started.
Yeah.
We had been playing with, a couple of people in an earlier version of Tongue Dance. Mm-hmm. And then we added a background singer, and that didn't really suit what I wanted. I wanted to get another guitar player. Mm-hmm. So we kind of went through that period of looking for another guitar player. Then we found one. But then he was just here to go to MIT, and he was only here for a year, so he had to leave. Then that brought us back to the three-piece, and I didn't want the three-piece. So finally, I put out an ad, and I saw an ad that said, "I'm fresh out of New York, and I'm ready to rock. Have my own equipment ready to go." Called her. She came to an audition.
Yeah.
She had the look. She had the attitude. She had the sound. She was in.
Yeah.
So then Tongue Dance was born
Nice.
at that moment.
What was her name?
Her name was Susan.
Okay.
And so we did some shows, and we were starting to make some noise because, like I said, this is when I discovered and utilized the passing out flyer bit
Oh, okay.
for the first time.
For the first time, this is where you did it,
That's when I did it.
and we all heard about that. So then,
Yeah.
all right. So 2000s. What year do you meet Madeline?
I guess it was probably around 2014.
2014. All right. So what do you do in the first decade of 2000? The new millennium.
Well, my life was in transit. You know, it was pretty much because my daughter was around now.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
after Tongue Dance, she came on the scene.
Yeah.
So I was kind of doing that thing and playing some music,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but not. It was more recorded. I went back into
you went back into recording.
Like
writing.
going to studios, recording
Yeah.
at home.
Yeah.
Just trying to get a body of work,
Nice.
you know, together.
Yeah.
And then when things kind of went sideways with my whole relationship with my daughter's mom, I think I came to a kind of a musical standstill.
Yeah.
Because there was so many turbulent things going on.
Yeah.
And so I was just basically playing acoustic guitar when I thought about it, you know. And I'm not sure what brought me out of it. Oh, around 2003, I'm waiting for the bus to take me into my dismal life at the time. And it was a friend of mine, Sean, and he said, "Hey, man, blah, blah, blah." So all this kind of led me, because then I met Tiki, and I met Johnny, and a few other people. Then I met Joey Maramba, and so this all leads me to how I met Madeline.
Oh, okay.
It started then.
Really? Out of all
In 2000, around 2004.
Met all these people. Okay. Oh, so like you guys didn't meet like over an advertisement or anything?
No. We met through some recommendation of a mutual friend.
Oh, wow. Who was looking for who? Well, she was obviously looking for a guitarist, I'm assuming. And they're like, "Hey, you play guitar."
So, I've been knowing Joey Maramba for a number of years. Because I met him when he was playing I had met him in the 90s. But we didn't really hang out. And we started hanging out after I saw him in a band called Mahigato. And, but anyway, he calls me one day and says, "Hey, man, listen. I know this girl, and she's looking for a guitar player. And I think her music fits what you want to do.
Yeah.
So you should check her out."
Nice.
So I said, "Okay, give her my number. Have her give me a call."
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. Because I'm always on putting it on, well, if you're looking for me, here's my number. Give me a call. So she calls. So I was captivated by her thick accent, you know. So I said, "Okay, well, bring your stuff over and let me hear it." So she came over with her bass and, you know, a CD. And she had some music, you know, on it. 2 songs, I believe, was recorded with a band. And one was kind of like a live rehearsal of a song. And then her singing and playing the bass on the other songs. So I think there was probably about like 8 songs on this disc. So one of them was Big Truck, you know,
Yeah.
and I think the other one was I Hope You Die,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
Yeah.
Why are you not already famous?
Yeah.
And I said that on the quality of her vocals,
Oh, yeah.
you know, not so much the uniqueness of the music,
Yeah.
but just on she just has that voice that you would
Yeah.
you would think
Be
you've
like,
heard
that's-
that before.
Yeah.
You know, it must
Yeah,
be,
sure.
you must be on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so, I chided her on that. And then, you know, I got to work on trying to learn the music. And then I learned the uniqueness of her music, that it wasn't what I thought. Because when you listen to her music, you go, oh, yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
I know that.
Oh, yeah. No,
I get
yeah,
that.
no, yeah.
No problem.
Things happen, changes.
You know,
Yeah.
and then when you sit down and you try to play, you go like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I thought it did that here,
Yeah.
not here.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. I remember you telling me about that.
And
Like when we play, you're like, all right, you're gonna have to like.
yeah, because it sounds, you know, when you hear it play, it sounds like that's what
Right.
it should be, the norm of what's out there, but it's not. You know, and I was having such a struggle because I had the formula of how most pop songs
Yeah.
and punk songs
Yeah.
and gospel songs with all their turnarounds, you know, I thought I had a good grasp of, but this was a unique
Yeah.
approach to songwriting for her. And I didn't think I
took
was going to ever get it.
It's kind of another culture shock. Like you were in this
Yeah.
culture for so long, and then
And then along comes, you know, like the fucking Katrina. Oh man, I wasn't expecting this.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
So rad.
So I didn't think I was gonna be able to even get the music down
Yeah. Oh.
to
interesting.
play with her
Oh, but
live
you-
in
yeah.
front of people.
But you got it down.
But I got it down,
Yeah.
and it's been it's an upward
Yeah.
struggle,
Yeah, for sure.
because we're going to have to find unique ways of getting people to know where we are, because you know, I don't think flyering is in the blood of this particular band. So there are other ways, but they're going to have to be taken. But it's great music.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why it's not out there
No,
yet,
no, yeah.
but it will be. So don't worry. That's why I'm going to get more deeply involved in my record company, so I can make shit like that happen.
Nice. Well, yeah, let's talk about your record company.
Oh, no, I don't want to talk about that.
You don't want to talk about it?
No, not. All I want to say is, stand by. Not Dead Yet Records is coming soon.
Yeah. Cool.
I'd rather talk about what I think is plaguing our country.
Well, before we get to plaguing our country, what's plaguing our music scene now? What's happening?
That's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all. Like, and
That's a good one.
is what is going on in the world kind of affecting it as well, or is it a different thing? You know what I mean? Because you're saying country. I'm like, all right, let's start. We'll get there. Let's start on a
Well,
community level. That's the word I'm looking for.
well, the thing of it is that, like I said earlier, a splintering happened.
Yeah.
Where I think the musicians should be held completely responsible for the dysfunction of the scene.
Yeah.
Because I tried an experiment prior to doing The Best Music Never Heard. Because one of the ways that I noticed that certain bands became popular was that they were part of a community that supported each other. And they really did. And that's missing. That could be because pay to play came in and devastated the scene for a minute and kind of forced a different type of reality that was accepted.
Yeah. See, the pay to play thing is interesting because, like, it's kind of like what came first, the chicken or the egg? Like, did they, unless you know, like,
I was there.
did they start doing pay to play, or
No, here's
was it because bands weren't bringing people that they're like, we're losing money, so if you want to play
here's the
pay
thing.
money? Like, who started it? Or
I
is
believe it started with bands
Mm-hmm.
that were coming in from out of the valley. No, I'm serious.
Goddamn, no, Anglo.
And they were coming out and I'm not talking about, just when I say the valley, I'm talking like Encino,
Yeah, that
Woodland Hills,
Yeah, okay.
Sherman Oaks,
Far away.
but kind of ritzy
Yeah.
kind of
Oh,
places.
those kind of.
And the criteria to play in Hollywood was pretty high at that time.
Yeah.
So this is what I heard. It's an urban legend because I wasn't there, but I was around.
This is what you were hearing.
But
This is an account of what was said.
But what happened was, some parents propositioned the whiskey to let their children play
Oh shit.
on kind of a Sunday night,
Yeah.
on one of their down nights, and that each of the bands would pay $200 to play. Okay, now check this out. Who's gonna turn down a down payment on the night? If all goes south, they at least made $400.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's a win-win.
So it didn't catch on
parties.
quite right away.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first incident that I
But
heard,
that was happening.
that I had
before.
heard
Okay.
transpiring.
Huh.
And it must have happened again because what soon started taking place was that these unscrupulous thieves, calling themselves promoters, which they wouldn't even know how to promote themselves into a popsicle meal. And all you need is one person to give you a fucking dollar, to get a popsicle meal.
Yeah.
So, and they wouldn't be able to do that. But they know how to tell bands, I'll sell you a ticket at $5 a pop. You buy 50 tickets from me at $5 a pop, and then you can sell them for 10, 15, or
Whatever you want to do. Yeah.
Right. And the bands who could afford it started doing it,
Yeah.
forcing the bands who couldn't afford it to start affording it. Because if you're going to play at the Whiskey or the Roxy, or the Viper Room, that's what it's going to take. Unless you get an opening spot for like Rat or, Motley Crue
Right,
doing
right,
a special
of course.
show.
Yeah. Of
But
course.
other than that, you got to pay your way in.
Yeah.
So prior to the full-on advent of pay-to-play, another thing emerged out of that same time period. If you book more than 2 or 3 bands, you might get a night. Like if you book 8 bands and each band brings 20 people, whoop, there it is. Even though the bands only get a chance to play for like 10 minutes. You know?
And everyone's like, hey, good job. You did good.
So, then they started doing that shit. Now imagine you have a night, you have 7 bands, and each of those bands have paid you $5 for a ticket. Okay? $5 for a ticket. And you're still charging at the door. You've made a lot of money. And at the same time, for the nights that were free, where you didn't have to pay, you might be the 12th band on that night. Going on at 1 o'clock. Because shit starts like at 6. and then you go on at 1, So both of those emerged at that time,
Yeah.
So, and I was, so anyway.
That was happening. All right. Oh, shoot. We're almost out of time. Well, how does this affect the country? Here's what I think capitalism. It's all just capitalism. Capitalism is super in right now.
Yeah.
Socialism is not.
And, if you want to look at the music business, it's a reflection, of the overall state globally.
Yeah.
I had a friend over the other day that used a word that I feel that Democrats should use when they're, putting out their case against the extreme right of the Republican Party, and just call it fascism, because this is what we're looking at. Trump is a fascist president because he doesn't want any criticism of himself or what he does. And he squashes any opposition, whether it be mild or defaming or whatever.
Yeah, even maybe once in a while admit that you're guilty. Has he ever admitted, even if he spilled some milk, you think he'd be like, oh,
my bad.
My bad.
No.
My apologies. I'm sorry. He won't say I'm sorry.
I mean,
do you ever see Donald Trump? Anybody saying I'm sorry, but in a real way, not being like, hey, I'm sorry. Sorry to say this, but you're a prick.
Say it. He will never say it. And the people who are craving this nationalist reality, have to come to the understanding that what we're facing is not socialism. It's not communism.
Yeah.
It's fascism. Because if you're going to have this type of society...
Well, it's like fascist capitalism. That's how I see it.
Yeah. I mean...
They're just letting capitalism spread like a disease. You got to have a balance. Here, I wanted to pass this to you. We got a little bit of time. Since we're speaking of this, why don't you play us your most political song? Or your most politically charged song? Hey, what does Madeline call you? The human tuner?
Well, I have perfect pitch.
Perfect pitch, yeah.
Let me see. Not my most
politically charged.
I walk alone, wondering what I feel. Don't know why it feels so unreal when I walk out. I just want to know when I found out. I just had to go and know. And know. Oh, how could you be so cruel when I was so in love with you? It's just insane. Gotta get comfortable in this thing. Bombs could fall from the sky any day now, any day now. Oh, I forgot the word to that song.
No, that was good, man. Hey.
It's been a while since I've done my acoustic social stuff.
No worries, man. Well, you know what? Real last thing. We ran out of time, but I just want to hear about your health. How are you doing? You know, what? And yeah, if you want to tell people what
I
happened.
had throat cancer really quick. And,
Yeah. Which is why you've been pausing sometimes. I noticed. Is that for that? You've been taking like
well, it's the
taking like a
the
spray.
aftermath of
Yeah.
going through the treatment for
Yeah.
cancer. I had stage 4
Oh my
local,
God.
but it was local,
Uh-huh.
meaning the different stages depend on what's
Where it's
affected
at and what's happening. Yeah.
and what else has been affected.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it had spread from one side of my neck to the other.
Oof.
So I went in and did the whole biopsy and all that stuff. It was a very strange journey.
Yeah.
And I went through the chemo and radiation treatment.
Yeah.
And, hair falling out, nightmarish
Yeah.
episodes
Yeah.
and stuff. But I'm in remission.
Yeah. Great, man.
I'm still alive.
You're still here. You're not yet dead.
I'm not quite the
Not
man
dead
I used
yet.
to be, but
Yeah.
because I used to weigh like 220,
Yeah, and you're like,
and now I'm down to 151.
I was gonna say like a good 60.
Yeah, so it's kind of
Yeah.
weird.
No. Yeah.
But anyway,
You're here, and
but
you're
I'm still here.
and you're alive. You're in remission. It's great,
Yeah,
man. It's good to
and-
see you,
And thank you for having me once again.
dude. It's great having you here, and like, yeah, still doing it. It was great seeing you, yours
let's-
truly, recently.
And hopefully next time we can talk about America.
All right, thanks, man.
All right, talk to you later.